Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to replace the battery on your PS4 controller. Now there are different types of controllers for your PS4. For example, this is the PS4 Pro controller, whereas this is the original PS4 controller. It's going to be very important for you to find out which particular model you have. Okay, so first things first, let's take a look at the model number of this controller, which is the one I'm going to replace the battery on. This particular one is the PS4 Pro. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. So on my PS4 controller, the model is CUH-ZCT2U. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you write that down and have it handy. Okay, if you have the original PS4 controller, it's gonna be the same thing to get the model. You're gonna see it right here. So for the original PS4 controller, the model is CUH-ZCT1U. All right, and another way to tell if you have the PS4 Pro controller or the original PS4 is you see here the D-pad and the thumbsticks are gray, whereas these are black over here. Since the problem I'm having with is the PS4 Pro controller, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how you can change the battery on this. However, the procedure will be exactly the same to change it on the PS4 original controller, so you can just follow along. Now this particular battery is actually better than the one that came on my PS4 controller. The one on the PS4 controller is about 1000 milliamps, whereas this one, as you can see here, is about 2200 milliamps. That means it should last you roughly about twice as long. So let's get started with the tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need a small Phillips screwdriver. You also need a small kind of plastic spudger tool such as this. But you could manage to use your fingernails. Otherwise, I do recommend something like this if you don't have it already. Okay, what you're gonna wanna do is turn over your PS4 controller in the back, and you'll see 4 screws that you'll need to take out. It's very important that you don't just yank the back of the PS4 controller, because there is a ribbon cable right around here that will rip off if you don't do this correctly. So let's go ahead and get started and remove the 4 screws you see here. So that's 1 and 2, 3rd screw right there, and finally the 4th screw is out. So be very careful with the triggers here, they could pop off, so just kind of do this very carefully. You're gonna wanna go ahead and separate this. Again, if you have the plastic spudger tool, you can use it. Okay, so to open up the controller very carefully from down in this bottom part here, you're gonna wanna go ahead and pry it off right here, and you heard it kind of snap right there. So you can use a pry tool to kind of get in there and start separating it a little bit more. Just go ahead and kind of keep working at it till you get it completely off. You will hear a few snaps, which is fine. There we go, I got all the way here. Again, be very careful with the triggers. And there we go, you kind of want to face this part down and keep going along like this. Kind of wiggle it in, and you see it separating there already. All right, now we're gonna go at it from the other side. Put the pry tool in there, and I do really recommend the pry tool, otherwise it's a lot harder. Okay, so go ahead and keep moving upwards. There we go, kind of snapped off right there. And what you could do also, if you're having a hard time, go ahead and set the controller down on the surface, and that way you can use more leverage to get it open. There we go. See it open there. And if you have another spudger tool, you can kind of stick it in here so it doesn't close up on you. It's really useful to have another spudger tool such as this. Otherwise, it's just gonna close on you. You're gonna start in square one. If you get the long spudger to go all the way through, that's really useful as well. And the part that will most likely get stuck on you is this part down here. It's really stubborn, hard to open. So just keep working at it. So you can see there is a clip there. So you can see there is a clip right here. This is probably like one of the hardest ones to get off. But once you get that off, the rest should be easy. And you don't want to use anything metal because it will scratch up and break the plastic here. So make sure to use plastic spudger and not anything metal. There we go. Finally was able to snap off this bottom, which is, I would think, the hardest part. So go ahead and carefully lift. And again, there's some ribbon cables here. See it right there. So you want to make sure you don't just yank it because this ribbon cable could get ripped. And we're just going to go ahead and set this aside here. Okay, so you see that ribbon cable right there? Great. So what you're gonna wanna do is kind of just put the bottom cover aside. You don't even need to disconnect it. Make sure you don't bend it too much. And this is the battery you wanna replace right here. Okay, great. Now that we have access to the battery, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect it here. Keep track of which way it's connected. The black wire goes on top and the red wire goes in the bottom. You can go ahead and just pull on it, get it off, and there we go. You're gonna go ahead and remove the battery. It might have a little bit of adhesive there, that's fine. Okay, so this is the old battery. Now we're gonna go ahead and insert the new battery. Okay, now with the new battery, you're gonna wanna make sure that this side is facing up. The wire should be to the right. And again, you'll kinda wanna bend this over so that the black wire is on top, just like the other one. And we're gonna go ahead and connect the cable now to this connector here. Again, make sure that the black cable is on top. And there we go, just inserted the cable. Go ahead and put this in here just like that. If you have some double-sided tape, you can go ahead and put it in the bottom, but there is some adhesive there already. As you can see, it just stays in place and it will be held down by the cover here. Okay, great. Again, making sure to be careful with this cable here. You're gonna go ahead and put the cover back now that the battery is in there. And snap it into place. Just like that. And now we're gonna put the screws back. And the last screw is in, and there we go. All right, now that we put back the battery, just gonna go ahead and press the PS button here, make sure it turns on, and we're good to go. Here we go, gonna press it, and we see that it turns on. Great.